Hello, freshmen. I'm going to read the first introductory section from the Odyssey. You can find this in our distance learning folder. It's going to be a PDF, and it will be titled Intro/Chapter 1. This is just the video for the introduction. Hopefully you joined the Google Meet where I explained some of the background and tried to set up this introduction so that it's easiest to understand. But a quick recap, the Odyssey is a 5,000-year-old story. It's considered an epic, which means its central character is a hero. It takes place over a long period of time and throughout a vast landscape. Our hero's name is Odysseus, and he is famous in Greek mythology for having fought in the Trojan War. The Odyssey is kind of like the sequel to the story of the Iliad. And the Iliad features the hero, it is also an epic, it features the hero Achilles, and it takes place during the last couple of years of the Trojan War. The Odyssey takes place after the Trojan War has ended, and it chronicles Odysseus's difficult journey home to his village, to his kingdom of Ithaca. So here's the introduction. You'll notice on the inside cover, you should see a list of characters. Very helpful. And then the intro is called The Story So Far. This gives a little bit of background on the Trojan War and helps us understand how the Odyssey continues that story. It says, the Odyssey is a sequel. It is the second of Homer's two great epic poems. To understand the story better, it helps to know something about part one, the Iliad. The Iliad is the story of the Trojan War. This war might actually have taken place around 1250 BC. The Iliad, however, is not a history. It is a tale of myth and magic. The gods and goddesses of ancient Greece are important characters. They take sides in the war and help the human characters. According to myth, the war started this way. Paris was a prince of the city of Troy. Troy, by the way, is modern-day Turkey. So Troy is across the sea from the country of Greece. So Paris is the prince of Troy. 3 goddesses asked him to judge who among them was the most beautiful goddess. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, offered Paris a reward if he chose her. He could have Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world. However, tricky, Helen was married to Menelaus. He was the king of Sparta, a city in Greece. So now the prince of Troy has been promised the queen of a Greek king. How's that gonna work? Not so good. When Paris visited Sparta, Aphrodite made Helen fall in love with him. Helen ran away with Paris. Menelaus and his brother Agamemnon led a Greek army against Troy to bring her back. That war that followed is called the Trojan War, named after the city of Troy. So, just to be clear, according to the myth, the war started because these guys were mad that someone took their woman. The Iliad, that's the other poem, the other book. The Iliad takes place during the last months of that war. Its hero is Achilles, a mighty Greek warrior. The Iliad ends with the funeral of Hector, a Trojan hero who is killed by Achilles. The story tells of many heroes on both sides, and one of those Greek heroes is named Odysseus. The Odyssey is named for him. In Greek, the title simply means the story of Odysseus, but an Odyssey is a journey. Odysseus is the king of Ithaca, an island off the coast of Greece. According to the myth, Odysseus did not want to fight at Troy. He did not want to leave his wife Penelope and his newborn baby son Telemachus. He had to be tricked into joining the Greek army. Once he was involved in the fighting, however, he proved to be brave and clever. In fact, Odysseus thought of the trick that finally won the war for the Greeks. You will read about this trick in the Odyssey. However, this book is mostly about Odysseus's adventures after the Trojan War. In one adventure, he makes an enemy of Poseidon, the god of the sea. Poseidon punishes him by making him wander the seas, never allowing him to reach home. We meet Odysseus on an island where he has been a prisoner for 7 years. So that's the end of the intro. The first chapter is called Athena and the Prince. That prince is Telemachus, Odysseus' son. And here's where it gets kind of confusing. So when the Odyssey opens in chapter 1, Odysseus has been gone from home for almost 20 years. He has been attempting to get back to Ithaca for about 10 years. That's because he fought in Troy for 10 years, and now he's been traveling and trying to get home for 10 years. He's been on this one island for 7 of those 10 years. The 3 years that came before that, he had all of these crazy adventures and fought all of these terrible monsters and amazing creatures and things like that. And that's what we're going to learn about as we read in the chapters. But I mentioned a timeline when we did our class Google Meet. You're going to want to keep track of that timeline as we go, and I'll do periodic updates where I'll show you my timeline. But right now, when we start chapter 1, Odysseus is almost home, but he's been missing for 20 years. So that means his newborn baby son who he left is now the Prince of Ithaca, and he's how old? Yes, he's almost 20 years old. You're good at math. Great job. Okay, stay tuned for chapter 1. Make sure you download that. Make sure you're following along when we're reading, and let's enjoy the story.